Let's do this. Hi, everyone. This is Jen, and I have a special guest today. Her name is Yuko Kudo.
Oh my
You know,
God, thank you so much.
do you know what? I have so much enthusiasm in my heart right now, but I have a hard time to introduce you, girl. So do you want to go ahead and do it yourself? Because I know you have so many aspects of you that I want to talk about. Okay. And you being a multi-passionist, not only an actor, singer, producer, uh, photographer, what else? A lot. So I want you to share yourself a little bit with everyone, okay?
Sure. Again, thank you so much
Mm,
for inviting me today. I am so honored. So, as Jen said, my name is Yuko, and I am originally from Japan. I am currently based in New York. I am lots of multi hyphenated human, and I am an artist, and I'm a social innovator, and I love people, I love art, and I love social changes.
okay, since you talk about social changes, right? So I want to know what actually prompted you to want to be a social innovation type of, work engagement type of thing. What inspires you to want to go into that direction? Because this one is a big one.
Yeah. Initially, I accidentally stumbled upon it. It was more so it found me rather than I found it. I was being, I was sorry. My street is real
Don't
loud.
worry.
The joy of Zoom call. Um, I I've been an artist
Mm,
ever since I can remember, whether I acknowledged it or not. That's a separate conversation. And I intentionally got into the field that I'm in currently around the time 2018, 2019. So it's relatively new.
mhm,
And what
mhm.
drives me right now is I want people to see each other as human beings first.
Mm.
That's very important. I know that there are so many stories that out there, that I know that there are so many opportunity that needs to be created. There's so many access that needs to be bridged to the people who are actually in need of the resources or anything, right? So there's so much gap that is going on right now, and how can I um, be the bridges? How can I be that connection? Or how can I find somebody who can connect those bridges? That's what drives me. That's what excites me. And yeah, that's, I guess that answered your question.
Not fully. Let's dive in a little bit more.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. So number one, you were born in Japan, and when did you start having this yearning of saying, I love art, I love expressing myself, I love to explore what people's needs are and just kind of meet them there and connect with them. And at what point is there a turning point in you that feels like I really want to go after that yearning, yet I'm afraid. I want to
Hmm.
know that little like tender heart of yours.
Okay. So it's interesting you ask me that question, right?
Hmm.
Because when I was in Japan, I grew up there until I was 19. So I finished high school in Japan,
Yeah.
and I spent another year in Tokyo. Then I came to the States. And when I first started as a classical trained pianist, and
Mm.
I actually did have I actually had no intention to pursue it. I was never something that I wanted to pursue as a career or something that I should reach forward,
Oh
because
wow.
my hand was so tiny. I can barely reach the octave,
Oh my
and like I
gosh.
know that I'm good, but physically there's so much limitation to where I can go when I see this, like, boys like in the same age reaching from C to E and like easily, right? And when I can barely touch C to C in octave. So I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not doing that. So for
Mm.
me, art and creativity, that was more so an escapism rather than something that I really wanted to pursue.
Mhm.
Why do I say it's been an escapism? Because I got bullied a lot. I was very quiet at school.
Yeah.
I thought everybody hated me, and I didn't want to be hated by anybody. So I didn't know how to express myself at school.
Mhm.
So when I came back home, when I sat down in front of the piano, that's when I went all in. That was my safe space. That
Oh,
was where I can be loud. That's where I can be bold. That's where I can be mad and angry or even sad. That's where I was okay to do anything and nobody was judging me.
mm, thank you so much to just pour that part of you out because I feel you. A part of me, well, not to say I'm an Asian woman here, and um, part part of my life was spent in Japan, like for 4 years
Right.
and almost 5 years probably. And then the culture, well, Japanese culture, I love Japanese culture. It's so delicate. At the
Right.
same time, it's awkward for me to navigate because I didn't know how to do me. And I feel like I have to
Mm,
kind of like follow along with the cultural aspect of being courteous, being thoughtful, and always say yes, yes, hi, hi, hi. You know? And
I
that part of me, it's like I don't know how to express myself in a way, even though I was learning Japanese, and still like there's it's a hard one for me to just be me, so I would love to know your perspective when you were younger, way younger, and you just wanted to pursue your dreams. And I'm sure there are people who probably would think that, oh, it's unrealistic, what are you talking about, maybe you need to give up, da 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 da. So how do you deal with that type of energy? I'm going to put it as energy.
yeah. Japan is such an interesting place, right? And
Yep.
I am doing my internal work, lots of unpacking in terms of my heritage as Japanese woman. And for a very long time, I didn't even want to say Japanese woman, and especially in the States, I would say I'm Asian woman, right? And it's only recently that I consciously say I am Japanese woman. And going back to your question, and I think it was so one thing that I was clear for me when I was consciously thinking about what do I want to do in my with my future,
Mm,
and it shifted all the time. I was never the person like I want to do this. This is my goal. I'm gonna go get it, and that's it. I was never that person. What I wanted to become changed all the time. I'm always curious about more than one thing, and one thing that was clear for me is I wanted to go to America. I wanted to go to the United States. That was one thing clear for me. And even I decided, or towards the end of high school,
yeah.
I said, maybe I will study marine biology. Maybe I will study psychology. Maybe I will study so and so. It changed and flipped. And just knowing that in the States, you can change your major once you go into the college, and
Right.
you don't have to necessarily decide right in that moment. So I was in the space of, okay, if I don't like it, I'm just gonna change it. Right. So I I feel like the the concept of those energy who trying to pressure you was
Mm,
never direct to me. It was more so a culture. Like you are to be this specific way. You are to be
mm,
like a following the rule. You are to be walking straight. You are to go to school, get a good job, get married, have family, get a house. None of that happened for me, or at least not yet. Right. Like I only finished high school and I'm in performing arts. And funny enough, my sister texted me this morning and said, my nephew thought I don't work.
mm.
And
That's funny.
because of the way the nature of what I do, right? It's
Yes.
not traditional 9 to 5, go to work,
Yes.
come back, rest. My life is not like that. So I was shocked to hear my nephew had an idea that I don't work. But how awesome is that? What he saw was me doing something that's bring me so much joy, so much love, he didn't even consider it as a job.
Right.
I think that was so beautiful and exciting. And I am grateful for my sister for sharing that. And I continue to aspire to become that person, right? I want to bring love into the world. I want to bring creativity. And one thing that I guess I struggle right now, it's not so much of saying directly no by someone, it's more so the system and the structure and assumption of this is the way, this is what it worked up until this point. This is the capitalismist way of working things. This is how the business work. Hence, you have, even when it's coming from the genuinely wanted to help me space, there's always like, does it have to be? I'm not sure that's how it works, right? So I'm always in the question of, does this work for me? Does this have to be the way it should be just because it worked up until this point? So it's more so breaking the rules, breaking the ideas, breaking the assumption. I think that's more for me. No, the rejection and whatnot, and in regards to what you're asking, I think.
Oh, Yuko. I'm feeling so much while like I'm like listening to your share. It's so much about, you know, how to break the mold of the conventional, the mainstream, their way of operating, because our dynamic is just like a single face, right? We're multifaceted. And sometimes we just don't feel like, me included, I don't feel like I fit in anywhere. And that brings a lot of loneliness.
Right.
Right. And then
Absolutely.
constantly feeling like a lone wolf, you know, and we're in the big jungle, but still feeling like you're walking alone by yourself. So that's been part of my journey as well. And learning to, it's so funny because when you just brought up your nephew, right? Talked about, oh, I don't know what Auntie's doing. And honestly speaking, I have been through the same thing. You know,
Wow.
Yeah, people are wondering like, so Jen, what exactly are you doing? And there's
Right.
that, and that part of me at the same time feels self-conscious at the beginning, till like all the way till this day. I'm more in the spectrum of fully owning myself. I could see, you know, those awkwardness, you know, it's not toward the person, but it's toward the whole collective and mainstream of projecting whether you're doing the right way or not. You know, so we constantly feel like, do I need to prove to them that I'm okay, or do I need to prove in a certain way that I am fine, you know, however I feel like to experience. Like we
Right.
constantly feel like we need to convince, or to not to persuade, but to just make ourselves clear.
Right. And
You know?
also, just to add to that, I think it's always constantly, you have to, for me, it's more so, I have to convince myself,
Yep.
right? Rather than I have to prove it to other people that my way works. So
Right.
for me, it's like, okay, I believe in this, and you're saying this. Am I wrong for thinking and believing what I believe in? And, you know, the constant doubt, constant, like, is this what is meant for me? Is this how, maybe I'm making a mistake? You know, the constant doubt, constant talk that happens in my head or in my heart, right? So the small step must be taken, or having the important people who believes in my vision or similar alignment, that like that surrounding, that environment is so important. And even in that, I agree with you, I feel lonely so much because I feel like I'm like, where am I, what am I doing, am I doing it okay? Who knows, I'll never know.
I love it. Okay. So, because you know we're doing this the authenticity project, which means that it's something we want to fully throw ourselves in that experience of question mark. Not saying, oh, I know authenticity means this, there's no equal sign, but what is authenticity, and what does authenticity feel like to you, and to you, and to you, and to me, you know? And we get to discuss how different viewed of, you know, authentic version of ourselves can be all accepted, you know, can be all accepted rather than say,
Right.
no, I don't think you're right. I think I'm right, you know, not in the
Right.
righteous type of attitude. But also, like, one thing, I don't know if you've heard of Caroline Myss, this
Mm-mm.
medical intuitive. I'm one of her fans, you know, like I love her book. So in her, one of her book called Courage to Confront Evil, okay, in one of the chapters, she talked about we need to have soul stamina.
Mm.
Like, it's not just human ego, like willpower, I can just make it through, but it has so much to do with the soul stamina, especially when we are going after something that people don't see the vision that we see in our eyes. Right.
Right.
And then it's challenging when we don't have those stamina in us, in ourselves, and to just stand true and say, you know, I don't need people's understanding. I mean, yeah, it would be great if they understand, but it's okay if they don't. It's
Right.
okay if they don't. But the truth of I know in me is I really see the possibility of the society can change in a way that would be healthier than the current status.
Mm-hmm.
The current status. And soul stamina, that term I learned from Caroline Myss, is like, yeah, you know, when we are constantly letting go of our power and hoping other people can understand us, we make ourselves even lonelier, you know, and then
Right.
it's an ego trip. It's an ego trip. So it's been quite a road trip for me as well on this journey of authenticity. Sometimes I feel like battling, you know, like,
Right.
do I say it because once I say it and then I'm going to invite judgment, I'm going to invite projection onto me,
Right.
and I don't feel like to explain.
Mm. Oh yeah. I know the feeling. And also you don't have to, right? You don't have to
Right?
explain.
Exactly. We don't have to explain. We don't have to explain. And so, one thing I would love for you to share more is when you feel a little bit off, like say off center, how do you gear yourself back?
Ooh.
I know this is too big of a question. I don't know, it just came right now. So I have to ask.
I mean, that's something like I always look for, right? I'm always looking for the answer to that. And I'm coming to understand the answer don't exist. A answer exists. My answer in that moment exists, but there's no the answer, right? And how do I come back to center? How do I come back to me? Usually because I'm not sleeping. Usually. I love my work. I love what I do. I can sit down at a table and edit stuff all day, all night. I can talk and interview people and produce things all day, all night because it's so in my nature. It's just, that's what I do, right? But I'm coming to understand that I don't have the soul stamina that you said, right? That I can generate 24/7 and keep driving. I just can't. And if I want to create good stuff, if I want to create meaningful stuff, that's something that can hopefully touch, move, and inspire other people. If I want to do that, I have to sleep. and and I get super obsessive about my routines too, right? I'm a yoga teacher and I do my morning routine and I want to run. And just because it's so ingrained in me, sometimes I have to tell myself that no, you sleep in today. No, you don't do exercise today. Otherwise, I'm just going to be in the same hamster wheel every day and keep working. And even though I have fun and I love my work, so probably the run out or the burnout would be a little longer. I have a little longer span than most of the people just because I love what I do and I know how to keep the energy going. However, when the crash happened, I crashed like crazy person. So how can I make it more sustainable?
Yeah.
More like, right, sustainable in a way that I get to enjoy my life. Because as a creator, one thing that I'm learning whew, so important is like, I can't be like this. I have to see the world.
Yes.
I have to be human, because if I'm preaching people to become a human and connect with
Mm.
each other, and if I don't be a human, and if I'm being a working machine, I'm such a hypocrite, and
Yes.
that's not
Yes.
good.
You're talking to me right now. So, seriously, like the burnout cycle, like you said, it's like a never ending part of it. And then a lot of it has to do with you're just so used to the old
Right.
pattern. You're used to the old pattern of just doing and pushing and the masculine way of doing it. Because once you stop, you just, the fear of, you know, the fear of something going to fall off from your shoes or whatever, it's going to happen.
Right.
So self-care, self-care, it sounds so basic and sounds such a cliche, but it's part of the self-love, and then so for us, as you as a creator and me doing transformational work with women, it's same thing over and over again. Like, it's okay to just breathe, be still, and stop whatever you're doing for just a
Right.
moment. For just a moment. If you want to sustain, like you said, you want to sustain.
Right.
Oh,
Absolutely.
wow. Okay. And then I remember you have one, was it a one human show, a musical show that you
Yes, a one
did?
human show.
I love it. I love it. It's called I
Thank
Came
you.
Here to Love. I came
I
here
came
to
here to be love.
oh to be loved, right? And that part is, it really struck me in a way that we judge our path. We all judge our path.
Oh yeah.
Right, we should be further ahead, we shouldn't be where we are. And knowing that, I want you to share more, like what prompted you to do this show.
Yeah. This show, it's super dear to my heart. I think I worked hard on this show more than any other project in my life.
Yeah.
And it was produced in the beginning of this year,
Mm.
February 20 February of 2021. And we didn't know when the theater is going to come back at that time. When we
Mhm.
didn't know how it's going to look moving forward. But I know that I wanted to do it. I know that I wanted to do it. And we decided, we as in my team, there is a seven of us involved in this production. And there we went into the space, the physical space that I performed, and that was January 1st of 2021. Until
Wow.
then, we didn't know if it can happen. So we
Hmm.
created everything in less than 2 months. Um, what really prompted me for this particular show, and usually title of the show come to me first.
Mm. Mm.
I'm conceiving the show, the name of the show,
Yeah.
then that's all the pieces of the draft that I've written according to that title. I would connect all the dots together. So sometimes the verse comes first, sometimes the music comes first, sometimes so and so comes first, and I don't know how that looks like. But once I have the dots and the connection, and then everything starts to shift. And obviously, my amazing director, and he helps me reach where my North Star is. Shout out to Brandon Rumaker. And so what was coming up for me during that time was so many people had lost, or I felt a lot of sense of loss, not only for the people who passed on, right, and the COVID, we're mourning a lot, but also the sense of identity. And I
Hmm.
was lucky enough that being a freelancer and being an independent artist for the last few years, and not having the stable 9 to 5 job was not my thing.
Mm.
Actually having the unemployment coming into my life for the first time, I felt stable. That was the most stable thing that I have ever felt. But for the most people, taken away from the job, taking away all the stability and the comfort, a lot of people were sharing with me the sense of loss and who they are. I don't know
Yeah.
who I am anymore. I don't know what my calling anymore. I
Hmm.
don't know. I can't really find out.
Mm.
And I echo that so much. And I also also felt like theater and performing space were taken away from me, and I was mad because what am I going to do with it? And so that's where this show was
Wow.
inspired by. I wanted to share with people, okay, it doesn't matter. You want to do a lot of things, do it. Because that's how you find out, right? Unless you try it, you're going to have all these ideas, all this expectation of what it could look like, what it should look like. And it's just going to give you, yeah, in the moments, there are a few moments that it could give you like a spark of excitement, inspiration, clarity. I think I'm going to do this. But if you don't take action and keep finding out who you are, keep reinventing who you are, it's like inflated balloon. I love the example of using balloon. Like ideas are the air you put in the balloon.
Yes.
You put a balloon, air in it, air in it, air in it, and it goes crazy. But at one point it explodes.
Right.
And you just shrink again.
Mm.
So that's how my head and my brain and my expectation works, right? So I had to move. I even like once the idea comes in and my head or my heart is being filled, I had to slowly let the air in, air out from my body. Otherwise, I'm just gonna crash. So that has been my process. And yeah, my team, 7 of us, and full out creatives, they helped us put that into a physical show. And so I was performing live in the space, and used we used a few of the pre-recorded footage but streamed everything live. Until this day, as a theater, we've seen a lot of Zoom theater. We've seen a lot of different type of pre-recorded stuff, cut, edit, and put it out, and or things that was already filmed prior to pandemic and then put out on the bigger streaming network. However, something like I did, something like we did, I still haven't seen it. Maybe I'm not doing enough research, but I haven't seen anything like it. And in order for us to make that happen, not only the pandemic, but also we wanted to create something new, the access for the theater. What does it look like? And people assume the Broadway is the thing in New York, but there are so much independent and experimental theater out there. And actually, most of the Broadway shows are not accessible for people with a low income, people who are in like have a physical disability. There's no access for that, right? So how can we make the theater more accessible for people? So we came up with a different way of ticketing model. We wanted to make sure that people have the option. We created the subtitles, right? So there are, yes, the show means so much for my own creativity, but also what we did as a team. That's what matters to me the most. I'm sweating.
I know you're sweating. You know what? Like while you're speaking, like I'm having goosebumps from the top of my head to toes, you know? And because I feel like you're speaking to the artist part of me, even though I'm a mentor, but I still have that little artist, you know, part of me inside. And I feel you when you're talking about the analogy of the balloon, like you're just like feeding it, feeding it, feeding it. And then like all of a sudden just like burst out, right? Like everything got shredded because it's just too much, right?
Yep.
And then learning to just weave it in like one little piece at a time, and not knowing the whole picture is fine, but one step at a time, right?
Yep.
That really spoke to me so dearly. And another one is I feel like the way you create your heart, not just hard, but the heart project, heart work, it's from pain, from empathy, to understand the pain for the artist. You know, I'm having goosebumps speaking. So the empathy you had is profound. And you, when you created it, it's real, it's authentic to you. You know, you don't have to even worry about how you're going to benchmark with yourself with other people out in the world doing the same thing. But you, it's because it's your own feeling, your own healing journey, your own personal story of going through this era. And it's you know? Oh my gosh, I'm having so much like shivering right now in my body.
And I think if I may, because that's something that really I love to share. The meaning of the authenticity, right? What does that mean?
What does that
If
mean?
you already have that somewhere down the road, like you already had that as a question, sorry.
Yeah.
The authenticity to me, before I say that, I think what has, since the word authenticity became a buzzword, I think people have such an interesting way of viewing what authenticity is.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about being crying and share ugly part. Sure, that's a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about crying.
Mm.
It is about like really embracing you. And for me, what really helped me click my definition of what authenticity is, authorship, right?
Mm.
It's authenticity come from the word author and authorship.
Yeah.
So am I being in charge of co-creating this life and surrendering the other half of co-creation to God, the universe, the love, right? Use whatever that works for you, whoever, like, right? Like you have your belief, higher self, you choose what works for you. But am I being in charge of the co-creation process? Am I giving the authorship to myself and the higher power, the God? I think when I click those dots and really turned into the words and where it came from, that really gave me a permission to write my own story and share that story, and trusting that whoever needs to hear that, whoever needs to feel something, maybe not in that right moment, but if anybody come across that piece one time or the other, including myself, right? If if this piece, I came here to be loved, can touch people in one way or the other somewhere down the road, then that was something I'm completely happy with. I came here to be loved. In the show, I said it. It's not to love, nor to be loved. It is to be love. It is about being. Right? So authorship, authenticity. I just wanted to share that.
I am grateful for you just like throw this in because this is so important. It's one of the most important, but yet it's a hard one because you need to let go of control, right? You need to let go, fully let go of control, and then you ask your ego to stand aside. It's none of your business. All you have to do is focus on your part and what is your part, and do that, and none of your business. The rest is none of your business, right? It's. I so feel you. Sometimes I feel like I'm just, for the lack of better words, this is really owning your power in a way, owning your gift unapologetically, because we are all born gifted, yet we're so afraid of our own power. We're so afraid of our own power because once we own it, what's going to happen is probably not what you think is going to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So we are afraid of owning our power. And this is the dilemma of part of our soul wants to experience that power because this is what we're here to experience, that expansion. Yet our human self is like, I'm not sure. Don't pull me toward there, you know? So I just love your presence, Yuko. And I think I would love for you to just share a little bit more about like, how would you encourage or to have, a piece of advice for people who have that deep yearning in their heart, but it just like, for them, it's just kind of like struggling with moving forward. Like, I want to go there and I know it's like burning inside me, yet I'm so afraid, so afraid of, what's going to happen. Like people probably all going to hate on me if I do that, if I own that ownership, that authorship in my life. What would you, do you want to share a little bit of, I don't know, like a little piece of encouragement for people?
Yeah. Thank you. I love that because, and at the same time, I would say this, right? You are the only person who can push you. You're the only person who can choose to love yourself Because right now, I can tell you, Jen can tell you, you're amazing, you're awesome, you're beautiful. But if you're feeling, I'm horrible, I suck, I can't do this, like, it doesn't matter what we say, right? That's, unfortunately, that's how it is. Or at least that's what I feel like for the most part, right? And, but those people who believe in you, I'm saying you as in general, whoever watching this, those people who believe in you will consistently remind you, you're awesome, you're amazing, you're beautiful, you're powerful, and you have what it takes to make things happen, right? So if you are willing to borrow those beliefs, if you're willing to give yourself a permission to dare, take a baby step. Take a baby step, right? And you don't have to go from 0 to 1 million in one day. That's just suicidal mission. Like, that's just, let's just face it, that's not going to happen. Baby's not going to skip and jump around in day one from 0, right? So take a baby step. And the baby step looks like writing down what you really want. Baby step looks like, I hate my job right now and I want to leave. Right? The baby step looks like, I want to love myself a little bit more, and writing that down and accepting it yourself. So I guess what I would say is, give yourself a chance and take a baby step and be honest. Be honest with yourself, including sometimes that give yourself a permission to say, I hate myself right now. It's okay. Because if you try to push it down and say like, no, I'm gonna love myself, I can't have this feeling, it's gonna push back up, right? So give yourself a permission to say, I don't like myself right now. That's okay.
Oh,
so that's what I would say.
Thank you so much. It's total embrace, totally embracing every little piece of yourself, including the part you probably don't like, right? And you were totally like kind of connecting with the past Jen. She would love to hear you was at that place, like, yeah, she wasn't able to accept, the totality of who she is. And she was, sort of like dropping that part of her and left her behind. And what you're saying is just potent. It's we're here to just face ourselves radically honest, and it's okay to say where I am, I don't like it, but this is a pivotal moment where you can change it, where you can flip a different script, right? Ah, thank you so much, Yuko. I mean, you are so freaking gifted. And I remember the welcome video. And by the way, guys, if you have a chance, I want you to check out Yuko's website. Yuko is Love Live Life. Is it lovelivelife.com? Yeah.
Yep.
Go check her out. She's amazing at what she does. Super inspiring, and you're gonna feel a lot of motivation from just by looking through her website, literally, and listening to her sing. Listening to what she has to say through her lyrics of letting her voice heal you, right? And then the last part is the "You're Welcome." In your welcome video. What's that song called, by the way?
Small Town Girl with a Big Dream.
That's the lyrics.
Yeah, that's the name.
And how do you even sing that? Can you teach me that one more time? Let's end this with a song. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my god, I never taught my song in the.
It's okay.
It's
okay. Let's just play.
Okay. It goes. I'm a small town girl with a big dream.
I'm a small town girl with a big dream.
Just like in the movie.
Just like in the movie. Oh my god.
There you go.
Yay! So check her out. She is literally like, I'm having goosebumps while she's sharing everything, during.
And I'm having a lot of sweat right now.
You know what? Actually, me too. All right. So everyone, this is beautiful Yuko, and feel free to connect with her and see her beautiful work in the world. And she is here to make an impact. And remember, one little step at a time. You are never late. Today, you are the youngest of your whole and the rest of your life. Okay?
Thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate you. Thank you so
Oh, I
much.
appreciate you. Thank you for your authenticity showing up. And I feel inspired just by talking with you. Thank you, Yuko.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.